Story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Warner Anderson as Matthew Swain, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, and Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie.
The Daylight Local from Boston. It carries a lawyer named Kennerly, whose arrival in Peyton Place will bring a shocking disclosure to Leslie Harrington.
Harrington residence?
Have they started to read Mrs. Harrington's will yet?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell Mr. Harrington that Mr. William Kennerly from Boston is here, and that I'll be out at the house within 10 minutes?
I don't think I can interrupt.
It's important.
Yes, sir.
The will concerns itself almost entirely with the allocation of Catherine Harrington's assets.
Do you know someone from Boston named Kennerly?
An attorney?
He called from the station. He's on his way here. What can he want?
I don't know. Should we wait for him?
No, let's go on.
There are no objections. I read from a list I drafted of the pertinent provisions. Christine Gordon, maid, $1,000. Robert Morton, not only co-executor, but a friend and physician. 15% of all dividends accruing on our Peyton Mill stock to be used for hospital funds. Rodney and Norman Harrington. The balance of the cash assets divided equally between them to be administered until their 25th birthday by Matt Swain, second co-executor, if he agrees. Laura Brooks, sister-in-law. All her clothing with the exception of her jewels and furs. To Leslie Harrington, surviving spouse. Her entire and complete corporate body of stock in the Peyton Mill. Well, that seems to be it.
Mr. Dow, please accept my appreciation for a dignified and briefly conducted moment. Anyone care for a drink? Bob?
No, thank you, Leslie.
Matt?
No, thank you.
Well, I think I'll leave. Goodbye, gentlemen.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Christine. Oh, Leslie, don't bother sending me Catherine's clothes.
I didn't think you'd want them.
Neither did she. Well, you finally got what you always wanted, the mill.
So it seems.
Seems. Goodbye, Les.
What are your immediate plans, Les?
Work. The businessman's remedy.
Take some medical advice. Don't let the remedy become the disease.
Be careful. You don't have to do that now, Christine.
Yes, sir.
Boys, can I have a few words with Mr. Dower? You care for a drink, Ted?
No, thank you.
You, mind?
Of course not.
What can this Kennerly want?
I don't know.
Well, he must want something.
We all do, don't we?
Ted, look this over. I estimate the inheritance taxes can easily be releasing stock options on blocks 3 and 4.
Date on this portfolio is the 20th, 2 days following Catherine's death.
I don't waste time. This is to protect the boys as well.
Oh, I understand, Leslie.
One thing more, Ted. I've been considering the possible advantage of altering the corporate identity of the mill.
You mean change the name of the firm?
I merely invite suggestions.
Harrington Mill?
Why not?
I'd wait, Leslie. At least until the people are prepared to accept the change.
What people?
People, Leslie. People.
Come my bag, please. Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
William Kennerly. I'm of the firm that represents your late wife's father.
This is my attorney, Theodore Dow.
Oh, how do you do, Mr.
How do you
Dow?
do?
I assume the will has been read, but I did want to be here as the attorney who drew the codicil.
Codicil?
Yes, modifying the will. You did read it.
I was never aware of it. I never received any copy of a codicil.
Well, Mrs. Harrington promised to deliver it to you.
Well, she didn't.
Never mind that. What is this codicil?
Well, I have a copy here. Thank you. Oh, may I?
She never spoke to me about this.
I imagine she might not.
Yes, here we are. By the way, I stopped off on my way here at the clinic to see Mrs. Harrington's father. Seems a pity he hasn't been able to come here at all.
Well, Ted?
It concerns the stock you inherited in the original will.
That you'll continue to administer it, Mr. Harrington.
Administer?
Yes.
Who owns it?
That's the point of the codicil.
Yes, full and absolute proprietorship of Catherine Harrington's stock asset reverts to her father, Martin Peyton.
Ted, is this legal?
It's irregular.
Is it legal? Can this type of thing hold up in court?
It depends.
On what?
Your adversary for the first thing. And I begin to suspect in this case you're confronted by a very good one.
I have a talent for winning, Ted.
Against Catherine? Did you ever win against Catherine, Leslie? Because, you see, that's who your opponent still is.
What do you expect him to say? I mean, no insurance agent wants to lose a client. The identical same coverage, Mr. Jowett, only for a lot less money. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. All right, it's your decision. Thank you anyway. Goodbye. Well, you can't win them all. How about getting something to eat?
Oh, I'd like to get this mailing out first, George.
The man who thinks ahead. Pays off sometimes. Just ask your friend Leslie. He's got it all. The Peyton money, the Peyton mill, everything he's ever wanted. Except my little Julie. I said, except my little Julie.
I heard. Anderson Insurance Agency. Fred Gardner.
That'll be $4, Dan.
Matt? Eli? I'm leaving first thing in the morning. Is there anything you want me to tell Elliot?
I'm expecting him.
Well, does he know you've been sick?
It's likely.
Well, don't get your hopes too high. You may be letting yourself in for another disappointment.
He'll be coming home this time. All right, Dan. Elliot never did like doing this when he was a boy. Busy work, he called it, but I made him learn it anyway. Good training.
Well, the parole board is going to want to know how Elliot is going to make a living.
Well, he'll take over the chandlery.
Is that definite?
It's a decent living, Matt, and I'm not getting any younger.
Have you talked with him about it?
Not yet. I thought that might be better coming from you.
He never wanted to work in the chandlery when he came out of the Navy.
He'd been through hellfire, man. Ship sunk, been through fire.
And what about now? What do you think he's gone through these last 18 years?
He's older now.
Well, age doesn't always temper everyone.
He'll take over. We've always been ship's chandlers.
But Elliot has a mind of his own. He's always been something of a rebel. Will he be happy here?
Happy. Nowadays, people talk as if the purpose of life was just to be happy. Forget about duty, obligation.
All right.
Hey, Princess.
Hello, Daddy.
You come to see me or your mother?
I was just dropping by.
Oh, Mother's upstairs. Say, why aren't you there?
Where?
Well, they're reading the will, aren't they?
That's a family matter.
Well, you live there.
I'm not a part of the family. See you. Hi.
Betty.
I saw Daddy on my way in.
Yes, he has an appointment, a prospect. Fred Gardner, come in here.
How's it going?
Oh, you know your father. Hasn't failed at anything that wasn't going to make him rich.
Mother, if you had it to do over,
Do whatever.
I'm talking about getting married to George Anderson.
George Anderson?
Daddy.
Sometimes I think you never knew George Anderson.
Mother, what's he really like?
Your father loves us, Betty.
Is that enough?
It's a great deal.
But not enough.
It's a great deal more than most women have.
Is that true? Yes, maybe it is. Rod offered me money this morning from his inheritance. To leave him, Mother. He's paying ransom for himself.
Oh, I know how that hurt, Betty. Betty, maybe you ought to consider it seriously. You're young enough to start over again without feeling you've wasted half your life.
You sound like Rod.
Honey, it takes two to make a marriage. No matter how hard you work, it takes two.
Just like a divorce.
I don't like to hear you talk like this, Betty.
Why? What's wrong with being realistic?
You're not being realistic. You're being hard.
You were soft, Mother. Where did it get you? Tell me about your happy marriage.
I love you, Father.
No, you don't. Maybe you did once, but not anymore. You just feel sorry for him. And even more sorry for yourself.
That isn't true.
You know my earliest memory? Daddy shouting and you crying. That's how I remember my whole childhood.
And what are you going to have with Rod? Will there ever be love?
Why does everyone keep talking about love? Tell me what it is, Mother, from your own experience.
That isn't fair.
Well, everyone keeps talking about love as though it really exists. Oh, please don't tell me that it does. I thought it did. I thought a boy named Rod Harrington loved me.
Perhaps he did.
Then he didn't. Mother, what is love?
Betty, love is...
What you once felt for Daddy.
Yes.
Once upon a time. Mother, shouldn't you have told me a long time ago that love doesn't last?
It can, Betty, it can.
Well, you say that. But there are other things, aren't there? And there are people. Oh, admit it, there are people like Les Harrington who live without love. He has, Mother, hasn't he?
I don't know.
In a big house. The big frog in his Peyton Place pond.
Do you really think that Les Harrington has never had any regrets?
That's not important. He stayed. And today he's going to collect for all those years. Just like I'm going to stay and collect.
Oh, Betty, would you listen to me? Would you believe me if I told you you were throwing your life away?
Even if I did. What other choice do I really have?
Honey, you can always come home to me and Daddy.
That's what I mean.